We first took a whale watching trip in Oregon, and ever since then, that was something I for sure wanted to do on the East Coast, was go and see some whales again.
Whale watching isn't exactly something that I always want to do and look forward to. I think the most exciting part is being able to get my camera out there and put my big zoom lens on it and get close-up shots of wildlife. So the night before, we noticed that there was a storm going to be coming through, and that made me even more nervous to go on a boat ride, as if I wasn't already nervous enough.
We ended up calling the whale watching company just to make sure that they were still planning on it. They told us that they go out rain or shine, it just more so depends on the choppiness of the water.
We looked outside and it was a misty, foggy morning, which is perfect for photos, so that part excited me. The captain said over the intercom that the water was pretty calm today, even with the storm coming through. But I looked out over the water and my nerves, and I didn't quite agree with that.
Us going with our rain gear allowed us to be able to sit on the upper level of the tour boat, even despite the rain and the fog. It was a little bit cold, but nothing that we couldn't handle with the gear that we had brought.
Normally they go to Stellwagen Bank, but we ended up going to Jeffrey's Ledge because there was a lot more whale action going on out there. It was about a 10-mile boat ride to get out there.
The tour guide told us that it would take about an hour and 15 minutes to get there, but you're probably going to be in kind of whale waters where they're at in about 45 minutes.
While this may not be the best ideal conditions to ride on a boat and see some whales, we are actually seeing some whales today. There's about 4 or 5 humpback whales that visit that area, and the way they identify them is when the whales do that tail flip. On the back of the tail you can see the white specks, and that's how they identify them, and they've come up with some names for those whales.
There were 4 humpback whales that we saw.
We were able to spot those whales about 10 or so times.
A couple times you'd actually see a pair together as well, so that was pretty cool.
There was a whale pretty much like 10 feet from our boat, and you could see the fins and everything and the whole shape of the whale.
The ride wasn't too bad. The waters were somewhat choppy, but nothing too terrible for me. I don't know about Mel. There were a couple times where the boat would swing kind of dramatically and you'd have to catch yourself. I imagine that was made more dramatic because, once again, we were on the upper level of the boat.
Even though it was raining, it was still a cool experience to be able to see all these lighthouses in the midst of the fog and mist.
Me personally, I've kind of always liked the idea of going out on the ocean in some misty, even rainy weather. I don't mind it so much. Again, that's something in my mind's eye that I've always liked to see. I like the foggy atmospheres and seeing the boats through the fog and the lighthouses and the shoreline. When we were whale watching in Oregon, that was really cool too. But the one difference between that and here was how much closer we were able to actually get to the whales.
The opportunities to take pictures were a lot greater. It was pretty neat to be able to catch the tail flips of these whales. We were there for about an hour and a half out in Jeffrey's Ledge. There were a few times that you could say that I definitely was very nervous out there because the waters were quite choppy, and with the boat rocking it back quite a bit made me a good bit nervous. But to be able to like get my camera, get the shots of those whales and just hold down that shutter to get as many best shots as I can to get that perfect one made me sort of forget a little bit that I was on a boat. If I was just looking through the viewfinder staring at that whale, then I was pretty good.
On the way back, it was definitely a lot colder. I don't know if that was because the adrenaline kind of wears off from the excitement in going to see the whales, but I'm pretty sure it started raining a little worse too as well.
Maybe you can set your nerves aside and forget that you're on a boat if you're not a boat fan and you really want to get some awesome pictures. This trip was definitely memorable and I probably would do it again. Don't tell Abe.
Overall, I really enjoyed the trip. I actually think the rain and the fog actually may have added to it some. If you ever have an opportunity to go out in the rain, I'd say take it. Don't be afraid to do it.
I definitely had a lot of fun getting some photography shots of the whales, and especially the fins when they would really stick up out of the water. So whale watching in a storm I was very nervous, but pictures turned out pretty cool.